2,000 years later.
Alright, hello my friends and welcome to the 1 million project. Finally complete. Links are in the description, so go download it and have a look around. Also, there's a list with the mods that I used. After a bunch of problems and other issues, I'm finally done with this project. All thanks to the help of you, and without your help I would not have finished it. Now this is for sure my largest project and it has taken me over 100 hours of in-game time, and for sure some of that time was spent waiting and waiting. So I made a time-lapse of the entire city growing, and it took almost 40 hours and 100 gigs of data. But here it is the same time-lapse as the one in the teaser video, but holy shit did it turn out pretty sweet. Now, let's go over some of the issues and problems and some other stuff that happened along the way. After that, I will show you all the numbers and statistics. Alright, so the game engine itself has some limitations. These limits cannot be increased even with mods. The only way you can play is to play around them. And that is exactly what I did. The mod CSL Service Reserve that was recommended by this person. I have no idea what that name says, but let's hope it's something nice. A big thanks goes to you as you solved the biggest issue I had, the vehicle limitation. Basically, the mod allows you to set a specific amount of vehicles that won't be used by normal cars and will only be used by services. Now, the vehicle limitation basically means that once the maximum amount of vehicles, aka cars and trucks and service vehicles and so on, has spawned, no more of those types can spawn. This means that no more garbage trucks, hearses, police cars and so on can spawn. Within a very short time span, this breaks the entire city. And before I got the mod, I tried fixing this by adding more public transportation, but instead now I reached the limit of citizen instances or whatever it's called. It's basically the same as the vehicle limitations, but for humans. Also, I had some problems with waves, and not tsunami waves, but waves that are made from the city when the sewage usage spikes. Let's say you pump out 100 liters of sewage a second and then you suddenly stop, and due to the behavior of water in this game, at the end of the map those 100 liters a second bounces off the end of the map and comes back as a giant tsunami, breaking all the water towers and making my population go from 1 million to 0 within a few minutes. I tried stopping the waves with no success and ended up defeated every time, so I just moved the water towers up on land and a bit further away. Also, the road limits were reached, so I could basically not build any more roads. Now the highways does not count as roads for some reason, so you can still add more of those if you want to. Now, this didn't count for any big issues, since basically all of my roads were already built. All in all, this city had many issues, but none that we couldn't fix. The population reached 1 million and that was the goal. Though it took like 10 times as much time as planned, but still, we reached the goal and that is what counts. There's also a few more rather interesting facts about this city. It is actually rather rich. All of my budget settings are basically at 150%, and if I were to lower them down to 100%, I've actually tried this. The city will still function properly and the weekly income will be around 450k a week, which is really impressive. It's almost 500,000 positive income for the city a week, and that's really nice. Now to the city itself. It is based around 3 large blocks. All of these blocks share a lot of services, and in total there are 258 incineration plants, 210 crematoriums, 156 fire stations, around 80 police headquarters, and around 465 parks. Each block is connected to the other blocks via a metro system, which basically moves horizontally along the city with one line of metros on every 4th block of city. Half of the city is also covered by buses, and that was just basically me playing around with the public transportation. And now, for all the numbers and costs and so on, I will cover basically everything in this video, since the city is so dang amazing. First up is the electricity, where the consumption is at 13.5 megawatts of power. The production is at 19.8 megawatts due to the monuments and a few extra plans for visuals. Next up is the water and sewage. Now, you might think that these are pretty low numbers, and that is due to one of the features in the game that basically allows you to decrease the amount of water and sewage every citizen consumes and produces. I will talk about that a bit more later in the video, but for now, water consumption is at 7.5 million cubic meters a week, and the same goes for sewage production. Water pumping capacity and sewage draining capacity are both basically at 9.9 million cubic meters a week. No water reserve tanks are being used. Now for the garbage. No landfills are being used, and all garbage is taken directly to the incineration plants. Garbage production is at 2.6 million units a week, and the capacity is at an amazing 15.48 million a week. Now you might be wondering why the capacity is so high, and that is all due to the vehicle limitation issue I had before. I guess some of them could be removed, but I find it rather entertaining to have so many. It makes for a pretty nice pattern. Education is at 100%, while 94% are highly educated. Capacity is at 1 million, and that is of course due to the monuments. Now, why did I use so many goddamn monuments, you might ask? The reason for this is to save time and to be able to make this video without spending too much time on it. So, are the people in this city happy? Well, of course they are. I made the city after all. Residential happiness is at 100%, commercial at 74%, and offices at 89%. And no industrial happiness. Sad face. Health is at 100% due to the monuments. Building levels are pretty much maxed out, except for a few new buildings that are still growing. Average traffic flow is at 91%, and there are no traffic jams in the entire city. Pollution is great due to the monuments, and noise pollution is at 9%, and as you can see in the video, something does not seem to function properly. The buildings that emit a lot of noise pollution are covered in red. Same goes for the roads, but they don't seem to cause any noise pollution outside of their borders, which is weird, but also pretty good for the citizens, I guess. Fire safety is as blue as it gets at 12%. Crime rate at 4% and 3.5k detained criminals are also very good stats for such a big city. Also, there are very few police headquarters compared to the amount of other services. Transportation is nothing special, with 2.7k weekly users on the metro and about 2k on buses. Now, I think these numbers would be greater if I spent a little more time fine-tuning the metro system, or if the citizen instance limit were not reached. In total, around 5k peeps a week use the public transportation system, which is not that great considering the size of this city. Though a lot of people walk to work due to how the zones are managed. Also, as you can see here in the top, this is where most new citizens enter the city. At one point there were over 9k people standing in line there waiting for a metro train, so I guess that is one big bottleneck of the system. Population is at 1,002,064 and still climbing a tiny bit. Around 400k employed people and 46% unemployment rate, which truly sucks. Sadly, I had to sacrifice great employment rates to build more homes for people to live in order to reach the 1 million population. Land value is for some reason only present on one side of the city. I guess that part is better for some reason. Or not. The average is great at 155 per square meter. Leisure is for some reason glitched at the moment, but give it a few seconds and there we go. Now it all looks good. Now when I think about it, it might have looked like that with the land value and leisure due to the fact that I had the game paused while recording all of that. Now here are all the extra services that I were using. First up is water usage, which is basically the thing I was talking about before, which limits the amount of water usage and sewage production for every citizen in the city, which is basically needed, I guess, because otherwise the numbers would be ridiculously high for the water consumption and sewage production. It basically makes the whole city a bit more manageable, but of course it costs a lot, so I guess you could save some money by not using it. Moving on. Recycling, parks and recreation, recreational use, free public transportation, harsh prison sentences, and only electricity for heat. I use harsh prison sentences because I just hate criminals. Only electricity for heat is being used since I could not build any more roads to make an area for where the heat could be created. Otherwise, it could be a pretty cool project. In the city planning tab, I am of course using the high-tech housing and encourage biking. This is to increase land value and decrease the use of cars. Excellent. Now I think I have covered basically everything about this city. As I said in the beginning, the save and mods and all that is available for download in the description. Now if you found this project interesting and you want to see more videos like this, then destroy that like button and subscribe, and I will make sure that more awesome projects like this will be released. As always, thanks a lot for watching, I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you in my next video.
Yeah, I know how to write one hell of a song.
I'm going to be talking to you about some beginner elements and how to think about starting your cities in city skylines. Now this is a question I've had a lot where people have been asking me. I'm having issues with managing electricity, managing finance, getting the city started. Once the city is up and running, it's much easier to manage. You will have problems that need to be solved, but the fundamental problem that most beginners players seem to have is actually just getting things up and started and, you know, sort of managing those first hurdles that come along. So I'm going to just go through and I'm going to talk about the way in which I would approach setting this up, and I'm going to try and do it as quickly as possible. Once we've got the basics in place, I may step forward in time to another save. Now this map is a map that I have created recently. This is called Beach Shores. You can download this right now from the Steam Workshop, and if you are, again, a beginner to the game, it's incredibly easy to do. There's a link down in the notes below, and all you do is you click that link, you go to there, you click subscribe, and it will automatically download that for you. And then next time you go new game, Beach Shores will just be there for you to play. So it's very, very easy to do. And you can do this with any of the selection of maps that are on the Steam Workshop. But let's get back to basics. Let's get back to the very beginning of the game. All right, now if you have never played before, chances are you're probably not watching this video. Chances are you're watching this video if you have played the game a bit already, found it a little frustrating, tried to find a solution, or trying to figure out like, hey, where did I go wrong? I played City Skylines a lot. I played it a lot, you know, since the game came out. We've had several, you know, massive playthroughs that I've done online. I've played a few, you know, whole city maps myself as well. So I've played the game fairly well, and I can give you some thoughts about, you know, when I'm starting a city, what I like to do. But these kind of decisions are always fairly subjective. They're quite personal and preference. It depends on how you like to play the game. You know, do you like to be very kind of specific and personal, and you know, you like to keep things in a very kind of grid format, very efficient? Because with any kind of management game like this, people play in different ways, whether they want to be very efficient with it or whether they want to play in a kind of more fluid, let things dynamically happen, which tends to be how I want to play. So when you come in at the start here, the first thing you're faced with is, where do I need to start building? Well, first of all, you're going to want to obviously put down your water stuff, and I'm going to assume that people watching have got a very vague, basic understanding of the game. But before we get to that, we need some, you know, we need some roads in here. It's the very first thing we've got to do. Now, I usually take off this snapping tool because I like to have a bit more control about what it is that I do. Now, on this map, I had already pre-created a roundabout, because I always think that this is the most efficient and important way of building. Now, note that this is not unlocked by default. You don't have this type of road unlocked at the start, and that's because I have specifically created this in my editor when I made the map. It's because it just enables people to have an easier start when they're building. Now, why is it an easier start? It's because creating junctions off of roads that just come in straight is actually, it's not bad or anything, but it can be something that you have to go back and fix later. So I like to pre-create a roundabout like this, and I'll show you why. Because it means that traffic comes in, it can get out easily, and it also shares the bulk of where traffic is in and outgoing, essentially, right? So first of all, what we're going to need is we're going to need water access, we're going to need power access, okay? But I need to obviously get down and towards the water hit, right? So I'm going to want to sort of be careful and make sure I maximize my money, because I only got 70,000 in the bank, okay? But I also need to ensure that the direction of where the water is flowing, right? So we can't check that right now, but obviously if we watch, hey look, the water is going this way. Now that means we're going to want to place our sewage outlet so it's going down river. So we're going to have to get over here at the bottom end of the square so that the sewage is going out this way. So I'm going to need to create a road that goes down to kind of like here. Bang that in. Now, first of all, I need to also think like, well, I'm going to have to create industry for my town. I'm also going to have to create a residential area. Now, if we look at this, you've got to think about like where does that want to be? Well, you could put it wherever you want to. In essence, you could put the industry area here, wherever you want it to be. But first of all, we're going to go here. We're going to have obviously our sewage. We're probably going to have some other bits and pieces. We're going to want to go out in this direction as well. So I'm going to create another road that just goes out this way. Okay, now we're going to want to start getting people coming into the town pretty soon, so I'm going to just start building a very straightforward starting area. Now, whenever I start the game, even though I like to be quite fluid in how I create my little townships and communities and things like this, at the same time, at the very beginning, it helps a lot to have just a fairly basic setup, right? So I'm just going to create like this. Then what we're going to want to do is we're going to zone some housing and things like this. We're going to want to make some water and electricity, okay? But first of all, we'll start off by just putting some housing in. I'm just going to use the fill tool, and I'm just going to put in, well, actually what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to just fill in a little area like this, and you'll see why I just do that to start with. I'm also going to actually fill in this little area right here like that, okay, just to start with. Now we're going to get our water services in, so we're going to need a water pumping station. Now we can start with a small one here or a bigger one. Now again, I've got some mods on here, so there'll be some objects that you see that you will not have if you're just running the default version. That's fine, don't worry about that. Just stick with the basic stuff, that is all you need, and I'll try and just use only default things in the game. Right, we're also going to need our sewage pumping, which is this one, the water drain, and you notice that you can't quite get it off the edge here. Where can we get it to? We can get it to about here. So we'll put that in there like so. And then we're going to need to obviously connect those pipes up. We're going to go back to our pipe, water pipe. This is going to need to be connected. But I'm going to reach out across here, and I'm going to reach out across here just to start. Okay, now this is going to want to go all this way anyway, because ultimately it's going to need to get out there. Connect that up. Okay, we got water. Now we're going to need power as well. What are we going to use for power? We're going to use wind. Are we going to use coal? What are we going to use? Well, wind is very good, but it provides a fairly small amount. 8 megawatts. This thing will produce up to 8 megawatts. So we're producing the maximum amount here. The coal power plant will produce 40 megawatts. I'm going to pause right here so I'm not crashing money. 40 megawatts. You got to, whenever you're making decisions about money, you have to basically look at the pros and the cons. This is the key to, especially at the very beginning, managing your money. There are some things that are essential, like the water, okay, getting those services up and running, but there's other things you can make choices about. So look at this. Okay, the base cost, see the blue, it says cost 6,000. The upkeep is 80 per week, right? So every week 80 coming out of your pot down here, okay, but the initial outlay is small. With the coal plant, it's a much higher outlay, 19,000, but it costs 560 per week upkeep. That's a lot more. But on the other side, it's producing 40 megawatts, whereas the wind turbine is only going to be producing 8 along here. Also, the wind turbine, you're going to have many more wind turbines in order to actually get up to what the coal plant is producing. So it's going to take more physical, land space as well. So there's a lot of considerations you need to take into account there. And obviously the wind turbines, they create a lot of noise. Look how much noise that's creating, right? The coal plant produces noise as well, but you can keep it in a refined area. The only last thing, of course, is the environment. The wind turbines are clean, the coal is not. So what are we going to decide? Well, it's kind of swings and roundabouts. It's really what you want it to be. Now, if we were to multiply this up, okay, so how many 8s are we going to need to get up to that 40? We're going to need several, right? It's going to be at least like 4 or 5 turbines to get up to where we need with that coal plant. So that's going to be 4 or 5 times 6. Let's say it's 5. So with 5 turbines, that's going to be 30,000, whereas the outlay for the coal plant is 19,000. But on the other hand, 80 per week, you times that by 5, so 5 minutes 40, 400 per week. So, it's actually, fairly close there. So it really comes down to just kind of your own personal decision. I'm just going to go with the coal plant to begin with. I actually like clean energy, and I like going for the wind turbines, but just for the purposes of this, I will go with the coal. Now what I've selected here is just a little dirt track. I don't need to spend money on a smarter road at the very beginning. It's just a little subsidiary side road, so that's all we need. So I'm going to bang in my coal plant right here. There he goes. Now these blue areas here represent obviously the electricity space, so I'm going to choose pylon from the electricity tab. I'm just going to connect the two together like this. And again, as I say, I'm assuming that most people watching have got a very basic understanding of the game already. So now I'm going to need to obviously connect the power through to the water pumping station up the top here. So I'm just going to create another little guy, and we're going to go along here like this. Connect that all up, and then we're going to connect to the town as well. And you remember that I placed some houses on this side. That's obviously so that I can connect straight across like this. And now when we run, we start playing, we'll see that the power comes on, and then it's going to connect through, ping, 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 and yeah, we've got power. We've got power, and we also have now water. So we've got all our services up and running. So that's like the the most sort of basic setting done. Now we can just worry about getting people into our town. And you can see we've got down the bottom here our 3 little tabs, okay, residential, commercial, and industrial or offices. And so we've got a very high demand for residential because we just started. So we can go ahead and we can now start filling these in. But don't fill in too much at once, okay? Because what will happen is that if we look at the power, okay, see as the buildings start, the power spreads. Okay, now if you build too much too fast, what's going to happen is that those houses are going to be isolated from the power grid, and it may be a little while before they actually get connected up. Don't worry too much at the very beginning if you have a negative weekly income. That's normal at the start of your game, and this will be changed up as we go along. Now that those houses are built, I'm going to build more. But hey, look, they got little water tabs. They need water, so I'm going to have to create some more pipes. And I'm going to do this by going along here and then going out this way like so. Okay, now the guys have got water. They're all good. But now look, they're complaining, oh, sewage, but now they got sewage as well because we got our sewage pipe working. So now we're back to, but look, they need some commercial now. Commercial is coming up because we haven't built any, but obviously these people want shops and things, places where they can buy stuff. So I'm going to put in some commercial here by just going and clicking on the commercial zoning, right? So our little zoning tabs. And I'm going to keep saying it all the way through. If I'm sort of skipping or moving a little bit quick for some people and going over the step by step, it's because I'm assuming people have got a very basic understanding of the controls of the game. But if you miss something, just go back and watch it and you'll see what I'm clicking on. Okay, so now we've got a little town up and running, but hey, these guys need water, apparently, okay. So I'm just going to run another tab out this way. It's just easier to kind of run it like this. I'm not being too precious or worrisome about this because I'm trying to do it fairly quickly. Right, well now these guys are going to need some jobs, right? You know, they're going to need some jobs. Some people can work in the commercial shops, of course, but they're generally going to want some other things. And you can see that now that you've got a little town up and running with some shops, these people need work. And that's why the industry tab is now sort of creeping up. We're getting more demand for that because people need jobs. Okay, so we're going to have to, and this is key in the beginning, because we're losing money, right, at the very start, you need to kind of get quite quick in terms of sort of getting up and getting this aspect running. Now what I'm going to do is I've extended the road down here. You want to keep your industry away from the main town. And the reason you want to do this is because it's noisy, it's dirty, and you don't want that near your town really. Now I've put it here because it's next to the power source, but at the same time it is next to the water pumping station. Don't worry, it's not going to excessively pollute that. You can see right now our industry demand is incredibly high. People need jobs, they want jobs. So we're going to start off by just putting a little block like this in here and here. Probably here too. Okay, and we'll speed the time on, and you'll see that here we go, look, our industry starts to be built now. And once we get that industry tab down, we're going to have enough money and sort of revenue coming in for the town in general. The taxes are going to start paying for things, and you see that our weekly income is steadily going down as these things are becoming occupied. But hey, these little buildings need some water too, apparently. So now that we've got the industry up and running, we can now see that our finances, our weekly income, has dropped off quite dramatically. So now we can start just building up the town in earnest. You can see that now that we have jobs taken care of and this town is, you know, sort of starting to develop, we can push it further. We can start getting more residential in. Now I'm going to start being a bit more creative about the town. You don't need to work always in a grid, you know, you can be a bit more creative. I'm just going to start banging some corners out here. And, you know, people don't always like this style of building. Some people like to be very, very efficient about it and, you know, worry about, you know, how many houses can you get into XYZ grid or whatever. I don't care about that myself at all. I play for the enjoyment of the game. I like to sort of be more creative and just a bit more random with the way in which my towns look. I like it to be a bit more sort of fluid and so on. So we're going to start just getting more housing in here. I'm just going to start filling this in. And again, at the beginning like this, you can, you know, you can be very methodical and planning about it if you wish, or you can do like this, you can just start banging buildings in, you know, it's okay, it's going to be alright, you know, we're going to get through it, it's fine. You can just start putting this stuff in here, and you'll see that it's naturally growing, okay. And here the house is coming in. Remember, they've got plenty of water services there, that's fine. Electricity, we're doing fine on that. We're actually starting to make a positive benefit right here. And you can see that as more people come into the town and are taking housing, our commercial and our industrial are creeping up. So we're going to want to sort of satisfy that. So I'm going to build in more industrial here. Not too much, just a little, okay? I'm just going to... So you're just kind of managing it back and forth, right? Oh, and then we are first into a hamlet. Now we got taxes and loans, we get garbage, we got healthcare, we got education. There's some other little buildings and things that we have, so we're going to want to utilize those. I'm going to put in commercial right here, okay? In fact, they need quite a lot of commercial. They got a lot of demand for commercial. We're putting some more right here, and maybe a little bit here. And you know, there's still the residential has dropped right off, and you can see that because we've still got some green space here. It's not being utilized, but there is still a lot of industrial demand, so I'll probably smash in a bit more of this. Actually, let's just fill that. we'll just fill that, because there's quite a lot of demand coming in there right now. Okay, so we're still making a little weekly income, but hey, you know, we could do with some more money. So now we've got our taxes available, we can go into here, we've got our budget, you can adjust your budget back and forth. Most of the time I don't fight, you can do this, tweak it a little bit later. Early game, I don't really worry about it too much, but you know, if you find that, because the reason being is that things move on quite quickly usually at the start, and so you know, anything that you might want to save, you may find that you suddenly need, and I just find that it's not really worth it. So I'm just going to put most of these up to about 11. You can put them up to 12 if you want to. I mean, we'll put residential up to 12 maybe, should be okay with 12. Now they're starting to demand more rubbish collection, more garbage collection. You can see that our bank balance, our weekly income, is going to start shooting up now because we've got taxes coming in better. So these guys basically, you know, somebody said to me on a video the other day, and they were saying about like not maybe having some troubles with this in terms of troubles with the game and setting it up. And they were saying, well, I built this and I built this and I built this, and I didn't have money to build something when they needed it. Well, don't panic. Don't build everything at once. Just build stuff at the very beginning as they need it, because that's how it will work. So I'm going to put in a refuse site right here. And off they go. They will start going off to collect that now. Here they go. And then these little icons that come up, they're telling you garbage has piled up. But that's okay. You know, they can wait for a little while before you solve that issue. You don't need to panic and deal with it immediately. Okay, so we've put that in there. Now we've got those other things we needed. We needed healthcare, education, but you know, are we going to want to spend all our money on that immediately? No, don't need to spend all our money on that immediately. Just wait, it's fine. So we'll start growing the city, you know, because you need to grow the city and satisfy its demands simultaneously. And, you know, you can't just spend all your money on building all the new resources straight away, because you still need money for building roads and all those other aspects, building the pipes for water, getting your electrical stuff running, you know, you've got to still do all these things. Let's build down here a bit. Now, again, I'm being very non-precious about this because I'm trying to just get this stuff in here. I don't worry too much about it. Like, I would have probably even bothered to make that road curve a little better. It's not the... I guess what I'm trying to sort of get across to people is that the design in the way which you lay out your streets is not the end of the world, okay? It doesn't matter too much. You know, providing you've got people coming into the city, they've got services and so on, it's not a catastrophe if things don't look absolutely pristine and perfect and, you know, 100% of the space is managed. I always try to sort of get that across to people in a lot of the games that I play. You know, you don't have to be the 100% superstar, know the game inside out player. You don't have to play it like that. You can just enjoy playing the game. It's fine. Now here's a curious thing. They're saying, now this is an issue that will plague you throughout the game. These guys here are saying, not enough workers. You're thinking, well, how can there not be enough workers? We built a whole town, they all want jobs. Well, the reason being is that they need uneducated workers, alright? 9 jobs available. Now, it could well be that maybe there's just not enough people that want to work there right now. So we need to just keep on building residential. But there will also be issues come in terms of how well educated people are. And sometimes people are too well educated for certain jobs, and you have to build specific communities to account for that. Now, no, people are still not requesting education. They won't always request education, but what people may suggest is healthcare. So we're going to start off, now again, you'll notice I've got some modded options in here. I'm going to just stick with the basics, so I'm going to take just the standard, ordinary, default medical clinic. Now, when you place this in, you'll see that this green obviously represents how much of an area that is covering, how much of a workable area that service can provide for. And this works the same for fire, police, everything, okay? We've got up to a village now. And this gives us the option of districts, policies, loans, specialisation, police, fire, forestry, we get power usage, water usage, and so on and so on and so on. I'm not going to get into all of the policies and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that because this is for the basics. It's in terms of sort of getting your city up and running, money management, that kind of stuff. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details, okay? So yeah, we're in health, and so when you place down your medical clinic, you're going to put it somewhere like this. Look, it covers pretty much everything we have. Put that in, everybody's happy. Beautiful. Now we need to check our water. There's a few little houses here that are saying no water. So again, we're going to expand our water thing right there. There we go. Now, one thing I will say in terms of being careful with your management, I'm just kind of throwing this stuff down right now. I'm not being super careful about it. Now, I will say that, you know, being careful about it is a good thing to do, because the less stuff you have to put down, obviously that means the more money that you will save, right? And then the more money you have to spend on other things. But at the same time, it is not the end of the world if you just have to put like a little bit of a pipe here or overlap it here or whatever. It's not going to cost you so much, so don't panic about that. Don't worry. You don't need to be so precious about making every little thing like 100% perfect and in budget. It's cool. It's going to be okay. Because this game is one of these games where it gives you some leeway. You know, it's not completely brutal, because that's not what it's about. It's about just enjoying building and creating communities and having fun with the game. So it's not going to like absolutely destroy you because you make like a small error of judgment. It's okay. Right, so we still need some more commercial, so let's put some more commercial in here. But I will say at the same time, if you do take the time, you know, we're going to have, I'll tell you what, look, we'll just have like a little we'll have like a little commercial complex there, okay. Yeah, at the same time, if you do want to take the time to carefully plan your communities and decide and design, that's cool too. You know, because there is fun in that. There's fun in designing how things are going to be and so on and so on. But, you know, personally, look, I like this look. I like the look of more random streets and stuff. Yes, we've got two junctions right opposite one another, and maybe that means that traffic's going to have to slow down a little bit because there's two junctions or whatever. You know, but at the same time, I prefer that to this, where it's just grid upon grid upon grid, which is quite frankly super dull, right? It's much more interesting to have more organic flowing roads, okay, and that for me is a good thing. Right, so let's fly on with things. Let's speed up. So now our residential is flying up again, and you know, this is the way it goes. From now on, you're just going to be essentially catering to people's needs and designing as you go. And I might actually skip forward soon. But you can see, look, we're making plenty of money. Everyone seems fairly satisfied. It doesn't, you know, there's no major issue here. The key is really to just not run into spending all your money too quickly. You know, you don't need to panic about stuff. Just deal with things as they approach. Be aware of what it is that you're going to have to do in the future, and it's fine. Again, I'm not really even thinking about what I'm doing in terms of planning these roads right now. I'm just chucking it down. We'll just build a little bit out here. Actually, there is one thing which I have not done, which I 100% should have done at this point, and that is getting access through to this area. Now, I'll say this, that I would have actually, if I'd been thinking, and it's because we've been kind of just flying on and I've been worrying about dealing with this stuff that I didn't explain, but basically, 6-lane roads are quite important for the general transportation of your city, okay? Because areas that are like industrial areas, and now we've got a building on fire right here, so I'm going to have to put in a fire service. I'm just going to choose, like, again, I'm going to put 2 fires in, one there. I'm going to put, this is a mod, there's a smaller one. I'm just going to put also another default fire station right there, just to cover those, make sure people have got some fire services. My coal plant just about has some, it's fine. Okay, police station as well. I'm just going to throw these down. Yeah, we're starting to actually get a little bit of crime. Look, they need a police station, so we'll put one in as well. Okay, and they haven't had a school yet, but look, we don't have enough money for a school because we've been, you know, doing all these other essential services, so that's going to have to wait. But let me just explain really briefly what I was trying to say about roads. Now, here's the thing with the roads. So these guys need water. Here's the thing with the roads. When you create an industrial area or a farm area or something like this, they need a lot of transportation. They will have tractors, lorries, vans, all sorts of things taking their goods and produce in and out and bringing the things that they need. Residential doesn't have that issue so much because it's generally just people going back and forth. Maybe they're going to have some transportation there or whatever. Whereas the industrial areas, they generate and have a lot more traffic. You need to account for that. Now, I have, again, because we've been flying through this, I made a little mistake. I normally would have put a big 6-lane road going straight down there. And you'll see that when I skip forward a little very soon. You'll see a more planned version of what I'm doing right here. Now, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to creatively solve this issue. And this is something that you have to do a lot in Skylines, right? You have to creatively solve problems. So as you come through the game, you'll suddenly realize, hey, damn it, I forgot to do that. Or something else occurs and you think, oh, this is an issue I need to resolve. So it's a problem solving. It's problem solving. You've got to figure out how to get around it. So how can I get my 6th lane down there where I need it to be? Well, I'm going to have to just build it straight down this road. This is the key access route, okay? So I'm going to go to my 4th tab along, large roads. I'm going to choose 6th lane road, and then I'm going to choose this here, upgrade road. And then that means that I can upgrade this to 6th lane. And you'll see that this road has gone from 2 to 6th lane. And I can click on this here, look, 6, 6, and I'll just keep going along. Now, when we get to the houses, oh no, the houses are red and orange. Well, this is something that you have to deal with from time to time. You have to sometimes upgrade areas where there are already houses. I'm going to upgrade that. We're going to lose houses there. We're also going to lose, look, suddenly, we're going to lose power. But this will come back online in a mo, because look, when these guys come in here, I'm going to just extend this, connect it to the grid, and they'll get power back. It's not the end of the world. Don't panic. It's fine. And then we're going to carry on. We're going to go down here. Again, we're going to lose houses. We're going to lose businesses. We're going to lose all this stuff. But don't be afraid to make upgrades like this, because if you don't make these kind of upgrades, it will punish you later down the line, and that's really, really important. If you don't make these changes in here, we're going to lose that further down the line. Now, suddenly we come to an issue with the fire station. We can't upgrade the road. Why? Because the fire station is on that road, and this is a building which can't be removed. It can't be destroyed even, or it can't be upgraded. So what I have to do is click on here, click on relocate. I'm going to have to just move it already onto the 6th lane like so, and now I can go back and I can continue upgrading. Again, I'm going to lose some businesses here. It's fine, okay? It's what we need to do. Now, there is another issue right now, and this is where mods come in, okay? Now, mods are actually more important. They're not just an extra fun thing for you to have. They are actually really, really important to the game, and I'm going to show you why. So in the game of Skylines, one of the main things that happens is on junctions like you can see right here, you get traffic lights. And unfortunately, there is no option to kind of by default toggle these on and off. So you're going to need to actually have a mod available to turn these on and off. And I will link that mod for the traffic lights down below. It is of all the mods that are worth having, the traffic lights is extremely worth having. And I know people are going to probably make loads of comments saying also this and this and this and this mod. That's fine. I use a lot of mods. A lot of people use a lot of mods. It's fine. They're not hard at all to implement on your game either, guys. It's literally a one button press. You don't have to move folders around. You can do it all from Steam. It is incredibly easy to do, and I'll make a separate video showing about that. But I just want to explain that right now this little add and remove traffic lights thing is a mod. It's incredibly simple to use. So what you do is you come to a junction like this where there's a traffic light thing. Okay, you click on the little button here which says add remove traffic lights, and then you just click on it like this, and that will now remove those traffic lights. And you can go on to the next one, remove it, and I'm just left clicking, remove, 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 and I'm going to remove them all along this major route. It doesn't affect the traffic. It won't affect the traffic. They won't start crashing into each other or causing loads of issues. They would. I mean, you can look. We'll watch this at a junction. We'll watch a junction right here. Look. They'll just pull out and go on the road. It's fine, okay? Look, see, they're going along here. They'll jump across in front of one another. They'll deal with it. It's okay. But it keeps the traffic moving. You don't get so many things snarled up. You don't get more traffic queues. But again, as you go into the game, you'll find that needs to happen. It needs to be amended and adjusted, and you figure out your own solutions to traffic issues, as I have had to do many, many times. Okay, so now that that's in place, we're going to want to do other things. Now we're going to need to create some education. We're going to need to create some other industry. So we're going to create some more industry right now. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to choose my standard 2-lane road. Now we're going to look at what else we can build. Well, what resources have we got? Now there's a little bit of sort of fertile ground here. Not a lot. There's more further over in this direction, and there's a load across on the other side of the river, but we have a little bit here. It's a little bit of fertile ground. This is going to be enough to start us off. Okay, so let's start by and it also, you see, we've got this 6-lane, we've got this great route coming into town, so building right in this area is probably going to be a good thing for us to do. So let's start by building again some roads right here. I'm going to try and just dodge around these power lines slightly, and then I'm going to try and connect this up to one of my existing roads, and that'll do. Then I'm going to need to build across here, and I kind of actually really want to build straight through that pylon, but I can't. If I wanted to, I could remove that and work around it. I mean, we could actually pause the game, delete this out, grab this, put the road in where I want it to go, just put it in there. Then I'm going to go back to power, take the power lines tool, and yeah, look, there we go. Just connect it up like that. It's fine, we'll do that for now, okay? So that's that solved. Now, I'm going to want to use the districts tab, and this districts tab right here, this basically enables you to create districts around your town. You just left click and drag. I'm holding left click the whole time I do this, and this essentially creates a district for you. Now this is going to enable you to create policies and other things for your certain areas of town. Now I already said that I didn't want to sort of talk too much about that, but it's important to know when it comes to industry and things, and I'm being quite loose about the way in which I lay these things down right now. So now I'm going to create this other area right here, and this is where our other industry is going to be. Now, that right now is just labeled High Park. It has no specific settings. Now we're going to want to choose an industry specialization, this little tab. There's the normal district painting. Okay, here is the industry specialization. Now this right here is generic industry. Okay, so that's like this. By default, I don't need to specify that. By default, if you don't select anything else and you start zoning industry, that's what you're going to get, standard industry. But if you was to choose forest industry or farming industry, which I'm going to select, I click on this, and you see a little little tractor appears. So now it is zoned as farming industry. So now when I go to my industrial zone on the zoning tab, and I now draw this stuff down, suddenly you're going to see, there we go. And again, we're right next to power. So this is going to just jump across in a minute. Once this comes through, it's fine. And I can zone, what I'll do is I'll zone down to these pylons here, and then that'll just get power straight away. Once one area, look, there you are, see, look, it's jumped, and we got power for all of these guys. But they need water, so we're going to have, they got a little bit of water, we're going to need more. So I'm just going to put water through like that. Okay, and there is our farming industry set up and ready to go, alright? And we can even start thinking about, if we want to tidy things up a little bit, we could start thinking about removing these pylons, but I don't think we need to worry about that just yet. We'll just leave it there for now. So we're going to need, we suddenly have a demand for more industry again, so we can keep on zoning more of our farm area, right? So let's just zone some more in here. And here, and all along here. We'll just get that in there, and this little bit as well. So that should be more than enough, and you can see the jobs thing has gone straight down. We're making 1,700 right now per week in terms of our money coming in, our weekly income. We need some more residential, so we'll bang some more residential in here. And again, I'm trying to keep doing this as quick as possible here, because there's a lot to cover in the time. Okay, that's moving forward. Now, we still haven't built any schools anywhere, but we have got enough money to build schools now. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to build the default elementary school right here. I'm going to just place it in there. Now again, we've got quite a lot of sort of stuff going on in this area. We need to try and figure out where's the best place going to be. I reckon about here it's going to be the best place to be. We put that in. Everybody is happy. Okay. Now it's worth going back and checking on your resources and your tools. Try and figure out at this point. So once you've got to a stage like this, a tiny town stage perhaps, now we get decorations, some other bits and pieces, high schools. We get some more policies that we can use. Once you get to a town of about this size, we're going to want to start thinking like, okay, let's have a little look back at our resources. What are we getting, what do we need now? So garbage, that's fine, it's low. Water is still very high. Power is starting to get a little low, but it's okay. It's not too bad. So something we need to keep an eye on and think we may need some money for that, but we are not sort of critically in danger of needing money for that right now. But as the town grows, any initial services you put in are going to need to be built upon. So fire. Okay, look, fire is serving these areas, but they don't look sort of completely safe. Okay, 28%. You can see fireman efficiency low to high. So it's kind of, they're quite efficient in this area, but there's still quite a high hazard, all right? Same, they can reach these areas, but they're not sort of totally safe. If we were to put a fire station slap bang on there, that's going to push that rate up. Health. Everyone seems pretty well cared for when it comes to health. They're looking okay because that is serving the area. Police again, doing just fine. So everything's kind of ticking along. We're doing all right. It's fine, So let's keep building some more. I'm going to just connect all this up. I'm going to run couple of roads through here. And again, like I said before, actually let's just do that. Okay, I'm not worrying too much about this. Now, thinking long term, we've got our whole area of housing here. We're going to want to kind of get around here. We're probably going to unlock some other areas of the map as we go forward. So placing a 2-lane road coming off this roundabout, again, probably not going to be a smart thing to do. So let's get another 6-lane road, and we'll just push that out there like that. Okay, great. So now we've got another major route going out of town. And again, as I say, I'm being quite rough about this, but I'll show you in a minute a better plan, because I'm being kind of quick with this, and I'm being quite sort of raw about how I connect things up and how it all works. Okay, we still need some more commercial, even though we've got quite a lot of commercial in the area here. So I'm going to use the paint bucket tool. I'm going to just drop that in there. Put a few more in there. And this is how it goes. So we're going to be sort of going forward, building more industry, more houses, more residential, creating different zoned areas. You know, look, we're making 1,700 on the weekly income. It's all going in the right direction. It's all about just managing those people's needs, looking at what needs to be built, working out your road systems, working out, thinking long term about how that stuff's going to happen. You know, the overall design of it is not so critically important. It's just about looking at what, you know, so okay, look, we built that commercial. Our weekly income has shot up. Now suddenly we've satisfied our commercial and our industrial, and now that those things are fairly satisfied, people are wanting to come and live here. They're thinking like, hey, this place is doing pretty good. This is somewhere that we want to live. So we can start, again, zone more residential. So I'm just going to fill in this whole block. I need to start thinking like, hey, you know, do we need more water service? Well, we clearly do. So I'm going to start throwing some of this down. Now, we're getting little power blackouts here. What's going on with our power? Oh, it's in the yellow. So we're going to need more power. Now I'm going to go ahead and just build a second coal plant. I'm going to smack it straight down there. Power solved. But again, if you want to, this is often a temporary solution at the very beginning. You may then later on, when you get some other sources available to you, consider other power options, change it over. The coal is very reliable, it's easy, you just smack it straight down there. That's a good option to start with. But as I say, the power, the wind turbines, they're good too, but it just means you're going to have to place quite a few of them down. They're going to take up space and so on and so on. Now at this stage, we're going to probably start thinking about some other things. So keeping your town happy and productive and making more and more people come to the town, it's not just about providing jobs and services. You're also going to want to provide some options in terms of leisure for people, right? So if we go to our leisure and our sort of decorations tab, there's these are all modded stuff, okay, so just ignore. But further on down, we're going to have stuff like this. This is more your default parks, okay? So parks with trees, plazas, okay? So I'm going to take a plaza, and again, look, see how it has a big green circle around it? That obviously represents the area that it's effective for. Now, at the same time, you know, I want to make sure that I'm getting my money's worth. When I put this thing down here, I want to make sure that it's providing as much benefit to as many people as possible. So hey, if I have to sacrifice a couple of houses for that, so be it. You know, put it down there. Get rid of those houses. Knock them down. So now we have a park in here, and that's going to make people happy. They're going to start upgrading their houses, and you know, they're making their houses are worth more. They got more value to them. I'm not quite sure if the town needs 3 coffee houses within, you know, literally stepping distance of one another there, but whatever. Okay, and you can see that again, our residential commercial is shooting up. So again, we satisfy that. We're going to put more residential down. We're going to put more commercial down. Okay, and I'm being very rough and very quick about this. I'm just throwing stuff in just for the purposes of showing you just how easy it is to get the game started and running. Okay, I think that's really the whole point of this video, is to just, you know, you don't need to overthink it. You can overthink it later when things are going wrong, but it's, you know, it's fine. Just because people with management games and building games and stuff like this, and design, city design especially, people can be so anal about it. You know, they can really sort of get into the nitty gritty, you know, sort of efficiency models and all this kind of stuff. Don't worry about it. Just enjoy building, because it's all fine. And half the fun for me is making mistakes and correcting them. That's for me half the fun of the game. You know, you build something and then you go, crap, that's not working. I've got to fix it, or I've got to find a solution. That's the fun. If you were to just plan everything, and you know, it's just perfect always. To me, there's no kind of like solution there. I suppose the satisfaction comes from making, gaining the knowledge that you've planned it correctly in the first place. But ultimately, yeah, it's fine. Anyway, so there we go, guys. This is where we are right now. You can see that we're making nearly 2,500 weekly income, and I would just continue on in this method. I'll just continue designing, putting more industry, building the roads well, and, you can't go wrong, really. It just keeps going in the right direction. I've just flown through this right now and done it as quickly as I possibly could. I'm going to load in now. I'm not going to save this even. I'm going to load in my other game plan. Now you can see this is the same map, slightly different layout. And I want to just show this one to show you guys how my other sort of more planned city is working out. So this is the exact same city that I was working on here a minute ago. You can see here's the roundabout. Okay, here's the 6-lane roads that we were looking at, but you can see that it's a lot more filled out. Okay, we're much further forward in time. We've got nearly 8,600 coming in, 300,000 in the bank. This is still a very, very new starter city. We're not greatly further forward from where we were a minute ago. Okay, but you can see that there's a little bit more development to it. And I wanted to show you this just to give you an idea of the next stage forward in terms of where you can go with the building. Now also notice, look, I did put this 6-lane in here, and you can see how this is working, right? This one goes straight down here, got my big city hospital there. This 6-lane, it provides basically the artery of the city. So all that heavy traffic, look, it's not going through the residential areas. It's going down here, it's serving the farm area. It's going straight down here, it's serving the industrial area. And it also branches off. And you can see, look, I've got another 6 going here. It goes all the way through here. And it's going to be able to serve other areas when I unlock them in the, the adjacent squares of our map. But you can see, look here on the grid space, I'm still being quite fluid about my building styles. I'm not worrying too much about the road systems. We've got a great little junction right here, and all these things kind of just make it more enjoyable for me. You can also sort of throw down some decorative trees and stuff. I've also got some roads, look, that go underneath the other roads, and again, that's to prevent having more intersections than is necessary. All right. So yeah, we've got some clay tennis courts here. There's all sorts of different bits and pieces. But you can see the city is running well. And also, you know what I was saying before about the coal plants being that initial phase? Well, a little bit further down the line, you unlock these, which are the sort of advanced wind turbine plants, okay? And they produce quite a lot of power. And by placing them out here in the water, they're getting a good amount of wind. They're getting their maximum benefit from being out there and getting a high rate of wind. So placing those out there means that I can slowly start to transition away from coal and have a more clean, healthy city for everyone. So yeah, this is where we've got to with this map, and I just wanted to showcase this one for you to kind of show you the direction we're going in. But from this point, I would just start building more residential, more commercial, building up. Then you start to unlock other options like building, skyscraper style buildings. You get more unique buildings. You can start branching off. Maybe we build like a big farming project over here. Maybe we branch out this way and keep expanding the city into different areas, wealthy areas, more worker industrial areas. Then we branch it across to a second city or something. The sky's the limit. You can start building whatever you want to. There is also a rail system in here, you can see. The train coming along here, and we could branch this off. If we unlock the grid next to us here, we could connect to that rail system. We could have an industrial connection for the railway or for the city. Loads and loads of options available to you. But again, I hope this shows you just where we can go. You'll notice right now that my weekly change of citizens coming in is quite low. It's because I'm obviously not building stuff to cater for them. There's not people really sort of coming to this city or leaving because there's nowhere for them to come into. There's no houses available right now, so that's why we're stuck there. But anyway, that's been my very initial sort of overview, guys, about how to sort of just get your city started, get it kick-started, get in there, get cracking, get on with your city. Let me know your thoughts, guys, about the video, about your gameplay. If you have any questions about sort of troubles or issues you're having in the game, I might be able to help solve those for you. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a little subscription right there, like the video. Thank you. I'll see you next time, guys, for more City Skylines.